I love your home already, and I haven't even seen it. Does that sound crazy? It's not. When we improve our surroundings, we simultaneously empower ourselves, which means every inch of space within your reach right now is an opportunity to tell the story you want to be living. Tell me that's not its own kind of wonderful. I have spent the last 15 years consulting clients and their homes through the wisdom of feng shui, intentional design, and some crystal clear communication. And you know what happens when you bring those three together? Life-changing magic. Your home is already in a conversation with you, so why not learn how to merge that awareness with some simple, straightforward, and smart action to co-create the life you want? I'm Amanda Gibby Peters, and I am here to help you learn how. Welcome to House Therapy. So I often think of feng shui as self-hospitality, where the design of our home is more about living a life that encourages feeling good instead of living one that simply looks good. And for me personally, living my best life has a lot to do with love. That's something that I like to make known, even visible, as much as possible throughout our home. Barry Gordon, a physicist, explained shui once as the intelligent use of intention through environmental metaphor. And honestly, that is one of my favorite definitions of feng shui that has ever will be uttered. You see, our space and the things in our space, our belongings, are demonstrating who we are. And those environmental metaphors are mirroring back through our life experiences. So if you think about it, feng shui is an opportunity, a filter, if you will, to align our surroundings energetically with our intentions. So how do we do this? Well, it starts by just looking around your house. What are your things expressing? Like, what are the first words that come to mind when you look at the things on your coffee table or the things in your closet? Another way to sort of get to know what's happening in this conversation is to imagine every possession that you own having its own voice. What do your things have to say? And how do those things that they're saying make you feel? Another approach, take note right now, are your intentions noticeable in the room you're in? Are they noticeable throughout your home? See, I think metaphors are a really quick on-ramp to making our goals and desires operational. They remind us to stay focused, they tell us what we want to hear, and they give us that loving nudge that we all occasionally need. I recently read the book, The Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herman, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I highly recommend it and have added it to my favorite shui adjacent must-reads list. And you can find the link to that book in my show notes if you want. But anyhow, there's a chapter dedicated to, and I quote, activating your alter ego with a totem or artifact, end quote. So reading the book will help all of what I'm about to say make more sense. But the author explains that when you have a symbolic meaning attached to an item, there is a psychological experience happening every time you see or interact with it. And in that interaction, you are being reminded of what it represents. I mean, it's sort of like a full circle, right? We often apply ideas and stories to the things that we keep around us, and those ideas and stories can drive or encourage action. In fact, emotion does drive performance so much. So if you think about it, your home right now is an opportunity waiting for you to inform how you want to feel. Your home can kind of be your accountability partner. So when I ask, do you have at least one thing in every room you love? What I am driving at is It really only takes one item that we love in a room to hold that energy in place and start to influence that pattern to take shape in our lives. So if you aren't nodding yes to that question of, do you have at least one thing in every room that you really love? Well, what is one thing that you can move around to give that love better visibility in your space and your life? If our spaces lack environmental reminders of who we want to become or what it is we desire making happen, the likelihood is we're going to stay put. Nothing changes if we don't make changes. But when we wake up our house with the presence of what we want in life, and again, this is where playing with metaphors gets really fun, we are sharpening our senses for the opportunities to make those dreams, those intentions, those goals come true. So let's recap this quickly. Your house is a narrator. So what's the story that it's telling? You are the observer, my dear. So pause and ponder over your first impressions of what is taking up space in your surroundings. And if you feel aligned with what your things are saying about you, then revisit this exercise when you're ready to change or improve something in your life. But if you aren't swept off your feet right now with what's happening around you, it's time to play with some better metaphors. How? Well, what do you desire in your life? And can you find something that symbolizes or matches that idea or goal and then give it really good geography in your space? All right, so I'm going to pull out of the storybook and share a way that I put this in play very early on in my feng shui journey. So travel, once upon a time, when our girlies were little, it wasn't in my forecast. We didn't have the budget, and I got to say, time was not sitting around in wads begging me to use it. And the opportunities weren't really presenting themselves either. When I look back now at pictures of our home then, I noticed some of the subtle changes in how, and definitely inspired with shui, I was anchoring the possibility of travel in our home. So I planted the belief that travel would happen with a kind of curated selection of things. I had travel books, I had maps, I started collecting globes, and I even had art from different areas around the world. And I got to say, eventually, the desire aligned with my reality. So the very first aha, it was so clever. So I added some maps to our hallway bookshelves, and that lived in the life journey area. The maps to me signaled direction, but in feng shui, they can actually also suggest guidance for the soul. So I decided to stretch this a little, and I taped part of a map to a standing magnifying glass. Like I cut out a circle from the map and I attached it to the magnifying glass. And I was really trying to bring in and amplify the imagery of the ocean because, as I just mentioned, it was in our life journey area. The element most at home there is water. Water suggests flow. So I was really trying to do a bunch of things, but I also really wanted to travel abroad, and I thought the ocean implied that perfectly. So, no joke, 2 weeks after I put these maps in our life journey area, my girlfriend called, and she was planning a trip to Paris and wanted to know if we cared to join her. Oui. But that's just scratching the surface, because here's where it gets really wild. A few weeks after that, I was dusting those bookshelves and I picked up the magnifying glass and happened to look at the map on it. And on that map was Paris. I love that story so much, and I don't share it nearly enough. So here's the magic rub. Every time you are in the vicinity of this symbol, this token, this metaphor, your subconscious is being reminded of your intentions. And say it with me, what you think about, you bring about. So I like to think of shui like giving your house a piece of your mind now so it brings you peace of mind later. Another really cool and more recent story of understanding how metaphor can really inform and influence our environments. Some of you know that our lovelies are in film school, and in their production design class the other day, the instructor explained that production designers incorporate metaphors used in scripts. So stay with me here. Let's say there is a story that conjures up that feeling of there being an elephant in the room. Production designers will intentionally reinforce that feeling through metaphor, maybe pictures or paintings of elephants in the background, or elephant prints like an elephant on a shirt or a quilt, or they'll even intentionally use the color palette or textures of an elephant. So maybe ivory white walls or a gray stretched out but wrinkly leather couch. Metaphor is embedded so that you catch the feeling. I love that so much because it really speaks to how they can persuade our focus toward what it is we desire while, here's the best part, subtly diminishing patterns of distraction or disruption. So it's all the more reason to make the metaphors in your environment work for you, right? So I want to give you some really quick examples of how simple and not complicated this is. So let's say that you're in the market for an energetic lift. How can your home help? I want you to think of everything that lifts the eye, because energy follows the eye, right? And you start there. So here's some ideas I've shared over the years. You might use imagery that portrays something taking off. This could be a private jet, birds, the sun coming up, a mountainscape. You can hang things up instead of letting them take residence underfoot. You can turn those book stacks on your shelves into a library-like lineup, right? Take them from a stack and turn them vertically. You can curate the top shelf of your bookshelves with something eye-catching or intentional. So I keep globes on ours. You could swap out the bedside lamps for sconces or level your whole bedroom vibe up with a really tall headboard. You could hang a sparkly chandelier or be super intentional about pulling up the blinds every day. You could add a surfboard to the room decor. You could choose high back chairs for the kitchen table or high back bar stools for the counter. You could pay attention to the imagery around your home and be mindful of too much artwork or photographs that have people gazing down almost in reverie. You could buy gladiolas, sunflowers, eucalyptus leaves, or orchids, flowering branches, anything like that for your home. You might install lighting above the kitchen cabinets. You could hang patio lights or flowering baskets or twinkling lights or a wind chime outside. You could set the table with candlesticks and light the candles. And my favorite, you could pull out the champagne glasses and pop the bubbly, because what are those bubbles doing? So you see, environmental metaphor is one really simple way to make your home compatible with your intentions and reinforcingly supportive of your desires. So I just have one last question. What metaphor are you creating next in yours? And that's our episode, my loves. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to head over to simpleshui.com if you're craving a bigger serving of house love. And if you like what you're hearing, I hope you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you love what you're learning, will you leave me a review? Your note will totally make my day and help even more people find the show. Have a fabulous day, and I can't wait to meet you back here next week.